Mudra today. So very, very simple mudra. You don't have to stand on your head. You don't have to do much in it, but it's highly effective. And especially as we get older, we must do it. Must do it. This is called a Ashwini mudra. Ashwini. Ashw means a horse. This is what yogis learned from horses. And again, let me read the Sanskrit verse where it's described in this Gherand Samhita. Akunchiyed gud dwaram prakashyet puna puna sa bhaved ashwani mudra shakti prabodh karini. Ashwani parma mudra guh rog vinashani bal pushti karicha ev akal marnam haret. So it gives you a long life. So what do? This mudra allows the energy to flow through the body. And that's where you get the health also, vitality also, and ultimately you have a long life also. Very simple mudra. That's how in this mudra, if you keep on practicing, you will have a control over the anal muscles in your body. You got to learn how to expand and contract the anal muscles, just like a horse does. What is the technique? Sit in any comfortable meditation asana. And comfortable meditation asana could be Padmasana, Sukhasana, Siddhasana, right? Any, or even Vajrasana. So any asana where you can sit comfortably with your back straight. Close your eyes and relax the body. First, bring your attention on your breath. Breathe naturally. You are not doing a pranayam. You are not holding your breath. Just breathe naturally. Bring your awareness towards your anal area. Contract the sphincter muscles of the anus and then relax them. So contract and relax. Contract and relax. Try to confine the action to the anal area only. Okay. See, Kegel movements are a little different. Okay, so it's not a Kegel. It's only for the anal. So the contraction and relaxation should be rhythmical. Okay. Gradually make the contractions more rapid. Okay, first just try to bring the rhythm, contraction and relaxation the same way, but then make the contraction a little stronger. How many times? 10 to 20 times. So start out with the 10, then gradually increase it. But be careful not to strain the muscles. You can increase the duration as the anal muscles become stronger and more control is developed. It helps get rid of the constipation, hemorrhoids, prolapse of the uterus or rectum. Try to do this mudra every single day. You can even do this in inverted position also if you want to. Inverted position means if you are familiar with the Sarvangasana or the Shirshasana, you can do it at that time too. But I would say initially do it sitting down position. So it enhances the functioning of the intestines. So that's how the constipation is cured. Because as we get older, we all know that excretion becomes a problem. for a lot of people. So that's why this is a very simple daily practice. If we just bring it as part of our yogic techniques, it will help us. Okay. And another thing happens with this mudra, according to Gherand Samhita. Perfection of this mudra prevents pranic energy escaping from the body. Because what you are doing is you are moving that energy, the pranic energy, upward for spiritual purposes. And this practice is a preparation for Mool Bandh also. Okay. So next week I'm going to talk about Mool Bandh in detail, and then Udyan Bandh also, and the Jalandhar Bandh also. So one bandh at a time. But if you just keep practicing, you will see that you will know how to apply the Mool Bandh if you do this mudra. Okay. So very simple mudra. Anybody can do it. No adverse side effect. Okay. So any question before we move on to our next topic? Yes, Veronica.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Veronica.
Just the expression of more band. What
Mool Bandh. Mool Bandh.
what is that?
Those are also, there are mudras and there are bandhs. They are part of the Hatha Yoga. So I'll talk about the bandh next time.
Okay.
So mudras and bandhs, they fall in one line item on the chart of Hatha Yoga. So these are advanced yogic techniques, which are called curative also. And they help us to do a deeper meditations also. Okay.
Thank you.
So bandh.
I have a question, Hershey.
Yes,
While
Pooja.
while you were explaining, I was trying to do it. The Kegel also happens along with it. How do you separate that?
Yeah. Try not to. Don't pay too much attention to the
And
Kegel.
it is oh,
You will be able to separate it. You will be able to just do only focus on the anal muscles. You should be able to do only the anal muscles.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. It's almost like again a practice on certain muscles and keep on the other muscles same. Okay.
Separate.
So
Okay.
initially, if it happens, there's no harm, but you will see that if you can do only the anal, the ultimate expression of that, the pranic energy, movement of the pranic energy, you will feel much better. There's a strength in it then. Okay. So anybody else? No? Okay.
When do we do this? In
In
the
the morning.
morning?
In the morning. Yeah. I would say when you're doing your yoga practice, include that in there. Okay. Doesn't have to be before you go to the bathroom or after you come out of the bathroom. No. Just whenever you do yoga, sit down. I would say first do the pranayam, then do these mudras, and then do your asanas. Okay. So include that in. But you can do it in the evening also if you want to. Okay. But mornings are always better for these kriyas.
Thank you.
Okay. The question is it possible to remember God all the time? Because our scriptures tell us again and again that we should remember God all the time while living in the world, doing our worldly duties. We should remember God. Gita says several times. Chapter 8, verse number 14. Ananya cheta sattam yo mam smarati nityasha. तस्य अहम सुलभ पार्थ नित्य युक्तस्य योगिना. Satatam nityam. Satatam means all the time with exclusive devotion. So Lord Krishna says, if someone remembers me all the time, will certainly attain me. So the condition over here is remember me all the time. It's not only sitting in the temple, not only during the Brahma Muhurat, all the time. Then again in chapter 10, verse number 10, he says, Tesham sattam yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yen mam upyanti te. He says, if you do it this way, if you remember me all the time, I'll give you buddhi yoga. Then again, in 8th chapter, verse number 7, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmar yuddhecha Mayi arpit manobuddhir mam vaishasya sanshayam. Okay? But we have a practical problem. Even though we read this, we believe in it. It is hard enough to remember God all the time sitting in the satsang or in the temple, because if we pay attention, our mind goes out. We got to bring it back again. How can we remember God in the outer world, doing our duties all the time? He did not say sometimes, he said all the time. So he says our devotees' mind should not leave the lotus feet of God, even for a fraction of a second. So the question is how to do it. Mind is extremely quick. It's faster than the light. It can be from here to moon in a fraction of a second. But at the same time, we know that mind cannot be at two places at one time. It can be only at one place. It can think only one thing at a time. It's fast, but one thing at a time. So the question for us is how to remember God. Keep God only in our mind. Let's dissect our actions. Why do we do certain actions? And when we are doing the actions, what is really happening in our mind? There are three things I want to discuss about. One is, and the answer of this problem is in these three. Okay. Number one is our personal identity. Our mind at some level never forgets who we are. We could be working on a computer. We could be in a class like this. Do we forget whether we are a man or a woman? Do we forget our name? We have a deep personal identity related to our body. This identity we never forget. So this is one thing that we do not forget, no matter what we are, where we are, or what we are doing. Personal identity. Consciously, when we are doing something, we never forget our personal identity. Even in our sleep, we don't forget our personal identity. And the second thing is our deep desires and attachments. They reach our subconscious mind no matter what our conscious mind is doing. Deep desires, deep attachment. For example, a happily married, newly married couple, their heart is with each other, even when they are at work. Deep attachment, deep desire, or even the first love. Or if you have not seen somebody in a long time and you are going to see them, there's an anticipation of seeing that person. No matter what you are doing it, you can always remember that person. Okay. So the number one is personal identity. The second is our deep desire and attachment. And the third one is motivation. This motivation also stays in subconscious deeply. The scriptures say, Prayojanam manudrishtihe manodapi na prapadyate. Even the greatest fool has a reason to do something. We may not know the reason, but there's a reason, prayojanam, motivation. Why do we go to work? We needed the money. Even though we didn't want to get up in the morning, but still we were on time. Even a person who's late everywhere else, at workplace, they are on time because they know they lose their job. Prayojanam, that's a motivation. So that motivation stays in our mind. So we can apply these three in our equation of remembering God all the time. Let's take the first one, personal identity. Let's go a little deeper. Not just the body, not just the name, not just the gender. What is our real identity? At the deepest level, we are all part of God. Mam eva ansho jeev loke jeev bhuta sanatana. Chapter 15, verse number 7. Bhagavad Gita. Ansh and Anshi. Ansh is the part, Anshi is the original. We are part of that original. That is our identity. He is our eternal Father. He is our eternal friend. We call him Sakhaya. Worldly friends can change. Worldly relationships will change. But this relationship will never change. This is so deep, which we have forgotten. If we remember this, then we can remember God all the time. We may forget what we are wearing, but we know this body. But this is the same way, if this body is also we are wearing, the wearer of this body is who we are, and that we should never forget. And that is part of God. Divyo Dev Eko Narayano Mata Pita Bhata Suhridgati. Scriptures say that. Again in Gita chapter 9, verse number 18. Part of that verse is Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharan Suhrid. I am the goal, the supporter, the Lord, the witness, the abode, the refuge, the friend, well-wisher, everything I am. If you can remember this, then we can definitely remember God all the time. If you cannot remember all these Gita verses, at least this verse every day, hopefully twice a day you sing. Tvamev Mata cha Pita Tvamev. Everybody sings that. We say that you are the only relationship for me. You are my mother, you are my father, you are my friend, you are my wealth, you are my knowledge. So when we understand this in the true sense, then how can we not remember God all the time? This relationship can never be broken. This is called a paripurna. This is a perfect relationship. Scriptures call it a samyak bandhan. Bandhan means connection. Samyak, it's a perfect. So we have forgotten the perfect relationship and we run after or cry over or waste our life for the imperfect. We should have good relationships, but not at the cost of this relationship. When we have this relationship, others become better. But when we run after the other relationships, this one gets severed. So there's no other relationship like this. This is our eternal identity, natural love for God. There is no soul has been or will be which did not desire God. Okay? No matter which name they use, which language they use, but this desire for this connection with that ultimate is there. Whether people do it looking up, looking down, looking in, sitting down, standing up, raising their hands up, wearing a cap or taking off the cap, those are all just cultural things. The deep down, we just want to develop this relationship. We got to do it properly. So instead of dwelling on the temporary identity, start remembering eternal identity. Then naturally you will remember God. There won't be any effort made. Okay, so know your real identity. I'm not saying that disregard the temporary body. No, this is our duty to take care of it. But our identity is not with this body. Identity is not where we live. Identity is not which ism we belong to. Our identity is at the soul level, which is part of God. The second way, second part, to me, I think this is like a triangle. Each angle is important. Attachment and desires. When you are eternally related to someone, wouldn't you like to meet that someone? For example, if there are some kids playing outside, and there is your child also among those group of kids, what do we look at first? Our own child. Belongingness. Belongingness. We get attached to someone who makes us happy. And they say there is a perfect happiness, which is called bliss or joy, whatever name, Anand you want to use, it's in God. We think that these relationships can give us happiness, but happiness really comes from God. Our self-interest is fulfilled there. There is a Upanishad which is called a Taittiriya Upanishad. Over there, the Rishi said, I got the Upanishad with me. Let me read the verse from here, little bit part of the verse. Yad ve tat sukritam raso vesa. So that means that ras, that fulfillment, that anand, that happiness comes only from him. Raso vesa. Even the ras which we feel from the worldly objects, it is actually coming from God. When we understand that properly, when we truly believe in that nobody but God will make us happy perfectly, then we get attached to God. Then our innermost desire is to remember God. We can be doing our duties, but we can still thinking about God. That's why this very popular saying in Hindi, Sansar se vyavahar, Bhagwan se pyar. So these worldly relationships, sure, you got to deal with them properly. But love only God. This should be the equation of our life. When we have a love for God, the worldly relationships, they become better. So our heart is only for God. So conscious mind with the world and deep down constant remembrance with God. And the third side of that triangle is motivation. Any action we perform, we have a motive behind it. in this life. So our motive should be very clear to accomplish the ultimate goal of life. Ultimate goal. So this requires a shift in the goal in life. So far, our goals have been temporary. We have put 100% energy, 100% remembrance, 100% everything into the temporary goals. Whether it was to pass a certain exam, or to get that position, or to have that much money, or marry somebody, or have children, or their children, or a house, whatever. We put all of our energy and time and remembrance into those temporary goals. The temporary goals keep on changing. But the ultimate goal, which is called a purpose of life, that does not change. So if we remember the purpose of life, and that is the motive behind our actions, then we can remember God all the time. So make God realization a top goal. Top goal. Remembering God all the time, you can function in the world. This world is for us to use. Again, in a Hindi way we say it, ये संसार हमारे उपयोग के लिए है, उपभोग के लिए नहीं. This is to use. This is a objective world. Objects are to use. Fulfillment comes from Him. If you can remember this, that this world definitely gives us things, but a goal of a human life is to attain God. So number one goal is to attain God, love God. Then we will definitely behave properly in this world also. But at the same time, our heart will belong to God. So desire for God should be so deep. So this should become our natural way of living. So to summarize the whole thing, how to practically apply, what to do, develop the desire for God, attachment for God. Realize we are related to God. And our prime goal is God. Whether we are doing the Shravan or the Manan, or we are doing the Smaran, or whether we are doing the Kirtan, or whether we are doing meditation, we do all of those things. Or even in the worldly sphere, whether we are eating, cooking, cleaning, driving, no matter what we are doing, constantly we can remember God. Because while doing all those duties, we can keep the connection with God. So pretty soon you will see that you can remember God when you get up in the morning. You'll be remembering God when you are doing your yoga also. You'll be remembering God only when you are doing the prayers also. When you're sleeping also, when you're walking also. Because you have developed such a relationship with God. This is very natural for us. Okay, just like I said earlier, very natural for us to remember I'm a female or a male or a Punjabi or a Gujarati or American or whatever, right? This becomes very natural for us. I am part of God. And my goal is God. The joy comes from God only. Joy does not belong in those worldly things. When it becomes so much part of our psyche, then there's no other practice. And this is the practical part of Gita, guys. That's why Lord Krishna again and again tells us, remembering God all the time. There's nothing in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said, which is not doable. Everything is doable. Whether we are doing it right now or not, it depends on us, but it's all doable. Otherwise, he wouldn't mention it there. Bhagavad Gita is a practical textbook for human beings, not just the Hindus or the Samism. It was before even Hindu world was created. It is for human beings. So this is what he teaches us. So any question, anybody? Because we can have a little discussion about it. If anything is not clear to you, please let me know. I just wanted to bring out something very simple today before we touch upon the other topics in this class. Because this we read again and again and again, and sometimes our mind does not take it that seriously. We think it's just a part-time job to remember God. This is the only job to remember God. Yes, Jyoti.
Nishta?
Yeah, Namaste ji.
Namaste,
Good morning,
Nishta.
everyone. I remember something that my grandfather had told me when I was little, and he named my mother Krishna and my Mamaji Ram, and he said I did that because every time I would call them, it would force me to remember God. I mean, and he's the one who named me Nishtha also. So I mean, even the naming convention, I think that also, and my Tayaji is Nanak. So, a lot of that I think happened before. I don't think it happens as much anymore.
Yeah, no, you are right, Nishtha. That's why the names, had the meanings also. And just like you said, God, after God's name. So while saying there's a beautiful story, which we're going to be reading in the next chapter in Bhagavad Puran, how a sinner, his name is Ajamil, got liberated by naming the son after God's name. So it's not only saying the name, but it just forces you to think about God also, especially if you pay little attention. So you are right, Nishta. That tradition was a very powerful tradition. Yes, after the God's name. That's why you will find many Oms, many Arjuns, and many Krishnas, but no Ravan or Duryodhan or Kans. Right?
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, Kans' name is a very short name. A lot of people think that short name we want for our children so that people can say it, but no Kans, no Ravan. Okay, Ram. Yes, Jyoti.
Urmilji?
Hello, Harji.
Yes,
Thank you.
Urmi.
It was a very nice topic. I am looking into the parallelism that we have drawn between the 3 points. Our identity is that we are part of God. We are part of the relationship will never change who we are. And I am the goal, the supporter, the abode, the well-wisher. I couldn't finish it. This verse is important to recite every day. The perfect, this is my identity. When you have this perfect, why run after the imperfect relationships? Even we are not running after those relationships, but if we are living in this world, we do have relationships.
Yes.
And you also said the mind doesn't want to do two things at the same time. So a perfect relationship and the imperfect relationship have to coexist together.
Yeah.
I want to see how to coexist together.
Okay. So what we need to do is, in the mind, God, with the outer layers, live in this world. Just like I told you that a mother can cook also and keep on thinking about the child who is supposed to come, who is in the plane, coming home. Part of the mind is connected with the child, but still cooking and cleaning and doing all the chores also. She could be sitting in a business meeting, but still part of the mind is connected. So this is the practice we need to do. Okay, connection, mental connection there, outer dealings with these relationships which we are supposed to take care of. Okay, so again, this is a practice, but we are used to doing it. Okay, we got to just make sure that we are doing the same thing with God now. Okay, yes, Jyoti.
Nana? Nana?
Sorry. Yeah, Harshi, can you explain more about when you said ये संसार भोग के लिए है, उपभोग के लिए नहीं?
Yeah, see, upabhog, what does upabhog means? That means to get pleasure.
Mhm.
And upayog means to use. The
उपयोग
real
के लिए.
pleasure comes from God. Upabhog. Okay, we got to keep on increasing the level of pleasure from a worldly pleasure to the godly pleasure. So we got to use the objects, but not objects should not use us. Okay, so this is what it means. ये संसार हमारे उपयोग के लिए है. Okay, but the real happiness
उपयोग.
will come from God.
Thank you.
Because normally we think we're gonna get happiness from money.
Mhm.
We think happiness is going to be from certain relationship. If that was the case, everybody should get the same amount of happiness from that particular object. We don't. Some people get the happiness from smoking a cigar. They think they are getting the happiness from there. And the other person can't even stand that smoke. So the worldly things are to use. Happiness is from the God or the soul. That is the source. Okay? Is it clear, Nana, a little bit more?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
Jyoti.
Manju Malhotra?
Yes, Manju.
Namaste. Well,
Namaste.
yeah, you just mentioned. So again, can you kindly again go over in Hindi with the word, the confusing little bit. ये संसार भोग के लिए हमारे
हमारे उपयोग के लिए है.
भोग के लिए नहीं है. right?
उपभोग के लिए नहीं है.
ये संसार
ये
हमारे
संसार हमारे उपयोग means to use it.
yeah
So that means these worldly things
के लिए है.
हाँ के लिए है.
हाँ.
उपभोग के लिए नहीं.
Right.
So
right.
never think that you're gonna get ultimate pleasure from these worldly things or worldly places or worldly.
And upbhog is ultimate pleasure, right? True
Upabhog
pleasure
means
of
yes. Up means
higher.
upwala, par,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Right.
Not the worldly pleasure, but we are talking about the divine pleasure, and we are after the divine pleasure.
Right.
Okay,
So
we are not satisfied with the lower level of pleasure.
and as opposed to with the same words, the same opposite of that. Say, how would you put it? This world is not is the worldly things.
World is not to give us that ultimate pleasure.
World
Okay?
cannot,
World is,
let's say,
world is
cannot
not.
give us.
World is to use, not to make us happy.
Right.
Okay, world is to use. It's not that we got to run away from this world. We got to learn how to use this world, but happiness is somewhere else. The source of happiness is who?
Right.
Right? Sat Chit Anand. Where is the Anand coming from? God. And we are part of that God. So it's right here in our Atma.
Right. Okay.
And this is that's why we got to learn to identify ourselves with the real us while taking care of the temporary us.
Mhm.
Okay, not at
And
the cost of ignoring this temporary. With the help of this temporary, we will know our real us.
mhm.
Okay? So
And
this equation,
yes.
when it's clear, then we don't run away from here. But at the same time, we don't miss this opportunity in this beautiful human life to know
Mhm.
us.
Yeah. And in English, like they say, use things,
Yes.
not people, and love people. Use
Yes.
things, love people, or you ultimate would be love God.
Yeah, right.
Better, in that sense,
Yeah.
because people also change sometimes, but
Yeah.
that's your eternal.
Yeah, the essence of the people also,
Right.
Okay.
And this word, you use two words, paripurn, bandhan, right?
Yeah,
Paripurn
samyak bandhan. Samyak
Okay.
means perfect.
So how would you spell SAMYA?
YAG.
Yeah.
Samyak. Samyak means complete. So that's why I use the word paripurna. Purna means complete. Paripurna means completely complete.
Right.
This
Okay.
is a completeness. Because we are looking for a completeness. We want, we are not going to rest until we are completely one with our Creator. So that's why I said Samyak Bandhan. Okay, the
Right.
relationship is only with God. We do feel relationship with our children.
Yeah.
Because we think that they are our children, but still it's not complete.
So yeah, ultimate and supreme
in a
relationship.
good relationship, in a married relationship also, or a lover's relationship, we feel completeness, but still it's not a samyag.
Yeah.
Okay, anything can trigger it. Okay, ultimate samyag bandhan is a perfect relationship is only with God.
Right.
Definition.
Yeah.
That's why I use the word paripurn, because it can never be broken.
So
By
is
that,
this
it can never be broken.
okay? And the samyagya is like a yagya word,
No,
right?
samyag means complete. That's what it
No.
means. Perfect.
No, but how do we write in Hindi? Yagya.
No, we write ya and ga. वो गधे वाला ग, गधे वाला.
Samyag. Okay.
Okay, not a yagge वाला नहीं. Ya वो यज्ञ वाला, पर ग
Right.
is
Okay.
वो
Okay. Samyak bandhan. Okay.
Sorry to use that word gada, but that came to my mind. Guy, how about that?
Has the same soul.
Yeah, that's right. You got it.
We just keep putting that poor Gada down. The problem is our mind, and we call the Gada.
Gada has its own purpose on this earth, and
Bichara
Guy has its own purpose. So, but the reason I wanted to bring this simple topic today, because we are studying so many scriptures, and everywhere we hear this, so we got to understand it properly. And I'm not saying that right away we'll just remember God 24/7, but at least we are praying. Can we remember God only? When we are doing our yoga, can we remember God only? When we are going for a walk outside, can we remember God only? When we are going to sleep, can we remember God only? When we are eating food, can we remember God only? There's so many events where we should remember God only. When we do the yajna also, Havan, God only.
Yeah.
Get the fears out. Get the fears out. The minute we have a fear, the other day somebody mentioned, I think somewhere I saw Panchak. What is this Panchak? I want to reply it, but I just wanted to maybe tell in this class, Panchaks, they bring fear in our mind. Panchak means 5 days when you cannot do anything auspicious.
Oh,
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
every day, every month, there are 5 days. Don't fall for that. All days are created by God. Ye panchak vanchak, just please, as a yoga student, don't make your mind weak. Maybe astrologers, astronomers, they have that language, but yogis don't have that language of panchak. Every day is good, every moment is good, God is everywhere. Let's just connect with God. Otherwise, we are saying that those 5 days, I don't want to connect with God. Horrible. I mean, it's even some people even say, Pandits will say, that somebody who dies during the panchaks, that means the 5 days every month, they are going to go downward. Doesn't even make sense. Logically, it doesn't even make sense. We are here because of our karmas. We will go somewhere because of our karmas, not because of panchak, not because of direction, not because of this Uttarayan and Dakshinayan. No, please connect with God all the time. That is it. And that is the reason I think I chose this because of that panchak. It really, I think, please, at least you guys are highly intelligent. Otherwise, you wouldn't be studying all this every single day. So use this knowledge logically, the way Lord Krishna is teaching us, the way Rishi Patanjali is teaching us. Rishi Patanjali even said that, hey, connect with God. Make your mind calm, connect in this form or this form or this form or this form or any form which you choose, as long as it's divine.
Thank you, Harshji.
Those are our gurus. Please do not get swayed away by all this Facebook and the WhatsApp knowledge. Please, everything written is not a scripture. That's the reason I brought those 5 sanskars today for you. That was the reason. You want a pragya sanskar, you want a vidya sanskar. You don't want a vidya sanskar. When you keep on reading this on the WhatsApp and the Facebooks, something which doesn't even make sense, you are putting a sanskar of a vidya, of a fear. Please be careful, because as a teacher, this is my duty to tell you. Okay? Poonam, you want to say something? I'm sorry.
No, I just said thank you, Harshji.
Okay, all right. Yeah, we got to just get this cloudiness out of our mind.
But there is, I also had a point here that Nishta was talking about people naming their children Ram and all that. But everything can be corrupted. If you go to India, even in our own household, all the servants are called Ramu. And it comes from Ram and Shamu. And so I don't know how much respect and how much feeling they have when they call that Ramu, Pani leke aa. I don't think so. So everything can be corrupted. The intention should be always remembered. It doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah, this point is very, I mean, you got the point over there, and we'll see that in a Yog Darshan retreat. Rishi Patanjali talks about the name of God is very powerful. It can get rid of all the kleshas. But again, he says, if it's repeated with the right attitude, bhav. So you brought this point very beautifully, that if we are saying Ram, but if you are not, we don't have God in our mind, it will not have.
So it makes no difference if you don't remember why you named that person that name. So it doesn't matter.
Exactly. No, you got it. That's why parrot can say Ram, 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 but cannot attain Ramhood. Right?
We got that robot cleaning thing, and we said we have to give it a name. So first we thought of Ramu and Shamu, and then I said no. And then I gave the assignment to all my children. I said, suggest me a name, and they said Jhadu. No
Jhadu
Ramu, no Shamu.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want to call a vacuum cleaner. No, we got to.
Because in India, the guy who cleans is Ramu Shamu and all. So right away those names came, and I said no. So we decided we'll call it Jhadu. See how automatically we call
Yeah,
those.
so we see that's why we come to these classes, so that we have more and more knowledge, and this knowledge ultimately should filter into our daily life. So that was the only reason I wanted to bring this topic today, that when Lord Krishna says, remember God, remember me, when he says me, that means God all the time. So let's just try to remember him only, at least some of the time, every day. Okay, anybody else?
Harshi, I had a question.
Sure, Pramila.
You mentioned triangle. So somewhere you mentioned the triangle.
Triangle means there are three points today I mentioned. The first point is your personal identity.
Okay.
We are part of God. The second point is that our attachment, our deepest desire to become one with him. Okay, desire is always where we get the happiness. That's why I brought the happiness word in there, and that's why I brought that Taittiriya Upanishad in there. Hopefully we'll get a chance to do Taittiriya Upanishad in these classes. You will see that how beautifully it's written. Okay, and the third is motivation. Okay, so that's why I said there are 3 points. If you can remember, then you can remember God all the time. Okay, so anybody else?
I think Sonia wants to say anything. Sonia Mehta.
Is Sonia? Is she there?
Okay, yes. Maybe she.
Okay, if Rita is there, Rita was supposed to sing bhajan today.
Hershi, this is Sonia once again. I'm sorry, probably it didn't go on mute.
Yeah.
I have a question. So, remembering God is always there, but sometimes manifestation is very difficult. So, although there are so many God idols that we have been praying to, growing up in India. So, is there a way to figure that out? Because it's sometimes if you don't have the manifestation, like how God looks like.
Yeah, what you need to remember, sure, when you were little, there were many forms of God in the temples also, in the household also, and that's how you were taught. Now, to become really in love with God, you got to choose one. Choose one. How do you choose one? 2 ways. Either if you have a guru gives you the form and the name. You just take it then. You say, okay, like my guru told me this is the form. God has many forms. So my guru gave me this form, I'll take it. Or another way you can choose is, at the time of need, which name comes to you, which form comes to you? First. Any form is good, but just that form. Then even when you don't need it, remember that. Okay? Whether it's a Ram or Krishna or Hanuman or Mata, do not change, please. The problem is with changing. Okay? Just one form. Tuesday, Monday, Sunday, Saturday, at the time of the wedding, birthday, does not matter, just one form only. Only then your love for God will increase. Okay?
Okay.
So either you have a proper initiation and get a form from your guru, or you just right now, if that time hasn't come yet, then you just remember that what comes to you automatically.
Okay.
Yeah. So work on that, and then we can talk about it more, Sonia. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that other forms are not important. They're all equally important.
I understand.
But
it's
you
more
got to choose
manifest,
one.
yeah.
Just like a eligible a young girl wants to get married, there are a lot of guys out there. Or for a guy, there's so many girls out there. You have to choose one. If you don't, then there's a problem.
Right.
And that's the problem we see these days. First, they don't choose, and when they choose, they still not settle. Right? we witness that these days. Okay, so the same thing we got to do: choose one form and one name. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Rita, are you there now?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Rita, please sing
Okay.
a bhajan for us.
Hershi.
Namaste.
He Ram, He Ram, He Ram, He Ram. जग में साचो तेरो नाम, हे राम हे राम। तू ही माता तू ही पिता है, तू ही माता तू ही पिता है, तू ही तो है राधा का श्याम। हे राम हे राम, हे राम हे राम। तू अंतर्यामी सबका स्वामी, तू अंतर्यामी सबका स्वामी। तेरे चरणों में चारों धाम, हे राम हे राम, हे राम हे राम। तू ही बिगाड़े तू ही संवारे, तू ही बिगाड़े तू ही संवारे, इस जग के सारे काम। हे राम हे राम, हे राम हे राम। तू जगदाता विश्व विधाता, तू जगदाता विश्व विधाता। तू ही सुबह तू ही शाम, हे राम हे राम, हे राम हे राम। जग में साचो तेरो नाम, हे राम हे राम, हे राम हे राम, हे राम हे राम। Beautiful.
Thank you very much, Rita.
Beautiful.